What is going on to all my Foundation fans out there, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with my final recap, breakdown, review of the Season 1 finale of Foundation, Episode 10, which was titled Leap, an episode in which we see Thespians and Anacreons maybe working together to find out how they can take down the Empire, and we see Brother Day making the decision on what to do with his younger brother. We're breaking it all down here in the spoiler review, but before we dive into it, make sure you're checking me out on all my other social media accounts. If you all are new to the channel, well, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. That way you all can get the alert for when I drop new content. If you enjoyed this spoiler breakdown, well, make sure to like and share the review. It helps out the channel a lot, but also appreciate the support. And in the comments, once you've seen this season 1 finale of Foundation, what'd you think about it? Let's talk about your pros, your cons, your thoughts on did you find it to be satisfying, your overall thoughts of the season, and what you hope to see in the season 2. Let's talk about it in the comments below. So just briefly, my thoughts on this 10th episode. For the most part, I was pretty satisfied. As you all know, Brother Day, Lee Pace, is my favorite character, favorite actor of the show, and him and Demerzel's story was just so well put together, and I thought that was easily the best part of the show. The stuff with Salvor and finding out who her mother is and the search for her mother, that stuff with Harry and Anacreons, it was interesting. It just wasn't as satisfying as the stuff that we got with Brother Day. But we'll break it all down. But like I said, overall, I would have to say I'm pretty satisfied. There are some unanswered questions. There are some disappointments. But I do enjoy this episode more than I enjoyed the setup last week. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So let's break down this 10th episode as we open up with immediately seeing Harry's body being in space, transforming into the actual vault, which kind of explains a little bit more of the narrative. And we'll get to his whole explanation of how he was able to set all that up. But we see Harry kind of gets into more detail in regards to this false hatred in the history between the Anacreons and the Thespians and what kind of caused this beef between the two different races. And he pretty much tells them, hey, at the end of the day, you guys shouldn't be beefing with each other because it was all a fake story. It was the second Cleon that killed this marriage that was placed in and put in place between these two different races, and you all should work together to take down the Empire. So again, it felt a little kind of rushed in regards to, we obviously knew about the Thespians and the Anacreons and the hatred between them two, but I just feel like that story could have been maybe implemented more into the series and it's shown a little bit more there. But he, again, learning the truth and learning that the Shadow Master, who we'll talk about him later in the episode, was a part of this hatred being created between two races was interesting. I just wish that we would have gotten more of that earlier in the season. But kind of getting more into this portion of the story, Harry suggests, which, you know, his whole thing is working together. You guys should work together to take down the Empire, and we see them kind of coming up with a plan of how they're going to do this and how they're going to use the ship, the Invictus, to do that particular goal. But it's in Harry's kind of explanation of them working together that he gives us a little bit of that exposition of how his ghost came to be and how the Anacreons were the main reason that he was able to be waking up. So again, Harry, this robot ghost version of Harry, you know, is giving us a lot of stuff that I'm just like, okay, this is interesting stuff. It's just I wish the execution was maybe executed a little bit better to kind of really explain all the stuff that's going on here within this episode. But in the emotional aspects, the stuff that did kind of work for me in this narrative, we see, you know, Farah, obviously she did die. You know, I was wondering if she was going to be brought back somehow, but it's in this moment that her closest, you know, companion gives the arrows that she carried to Salvor as they're, you know, putting her body to rest, which again, I wish there was just a little bit, all the deaths in this season to me was just kind of hollow. And, you know, Farah was a character I really kind of enjoyed that narrative. And I just thought that her death, you know, Salvor's dad's death, Lewis's death, all those deaths that we got just weren't as impactful as I wish they could have been. But it was kind of cool to kind of see, you know, Farah weapons being gifted to Salvor and her getting that kind of proper send-off. But kind of wrapping up that portion of the episode, we kind of get a time jump, right? We learned that months have passed and that the people are working together. We learned that the man that can't be killed, Hugo, he is now the captain of the Invictus, and things are looking pretty promising on the planet of Terminus. And we see kind of meanwhile, Salvor is loving all this, you know, good stuff that's going on, but she wants to know where are those visions coming from, as we all want to know as an audience. And she's having this conversation with her mom, and a lot of you all kind of suspected this many weeks ago, and we get the big reveal that her embryo, her real parents are Reef and Gail, and obviously the mom put it in her, so she is her birth mom, but her real parents are out there, and she's on this journey to find her real mom. As she says goodbye to her birth mother, she says goodbye to Hugo, and she's on this path to find her mother, which we'll talk about the ending of the episode. But as a whole goes in regards to Terminus and just that whole narrative, I was really invested in the first half of the show. What's the deal with the Vault? Are we going to be able to build a civilization on Terminus? A lot of the first 4 episodes was very interesting kind of storytelling, but once we kind of left Terminus and Salvor and Farah and the Invictus, kind of that storyline to me kind of lost its momentum as the narrative kind of went on, because I was more interested in other storylines. But as far as wrapping up that storyline, I think it was okay how I wrapped it, but let me know how you all felt about everything on Terminus, and if you felt it was kind of rushed, if you feel like it was underdeveloped, or you thought it was good. Let's talk about it. But let's talk about my favorite part of this episode, and honestly my favorite parts of this entire show. Brother Day makes his return, and now it's time to make a decision on what he's going to do with the fate of Brother Dawn, as Brother Dawn has a moment to kind of speak his truth today. And you all know how I feel about the actor that plays Brother Dawn. That, I don't know what it is, but I feel like whenever Lee Pace is on screen, he elevates the other actors on screen with him. So for the first time all season, I felt that young actor kind of giving me more than what he wasn't able to give me in the previous episodes. I felt the desperation. I felt him wanting to speak his truth. I felt like that was his best scene in the entire series for me personally, and I think that goes to him being in the same room with Lee Pace. But going back to the story, we see that Day gets a chance to talk to the traitor and Ezra, and Day goes into how he viewed his brother as a son, how he raised him, and how that was his legacy, and how much it meant to him that she took that away from him. So she's going to take everything from her. He tells her, I'm going to take not only your parents, your family, your friends, but everyone they know. I have them about to be killed. And he does that same thing he did in episode 2. He takes everything away from her and literally leaves her with nothingness, and she's going to be in prison with this on her mind, because everything he took away from her, she's taken away from her. And that moment was just so badass to me. Again, whenever Brother Day did that, we already know his trouble, but that was probably my favorite moment of this episode, and just showing you the power, the fact that he could just do things with a hand gesture, taking everything away from her in that moment was a pretty badass moment for me. But let me know what you all thought about that punishment that she got. Did she deserve it? I don't know. I think so, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. But getting back into the main part that I love, we see that Brother Day has had a bit of a change of heart. He surprisingly wants to give Brother Dawn a second chance, but it's in this moment that Brother Dust is, fighting with him. They're literally punching each other, and I did not see this coming. We see Demerzel takes it upon herself to kill Brother Dawn by twisting his neck, and obviously that shocked me, that shocked both of the brothers, and I'm sure it shocked you all. Let me know if you all expect that to happen in the moment when it did. But we see Brother Des giving the instructions to Demerzel to get another clone up and ready by lunchtime, and it's in this moment here that we get the big kind of twist and turn in this episode, where the Shadow Master informs Brother Day that the Cleon clones have been compromised by that anti-Empire group for a very long time. And it's in this moment that Brother Day breaks the glass in rage. He breaks the Cleon glass in rage, so he could be compromised, his older brother be compromised, their whole Cleon cloning system has been compromised by this group. So what a big moment there. I kind of love that big reveal, because obviously the Empire will be crumbling if they find out that they have been compromised and they have defects like they had with the younger brother. So really interesting moment there. Let me know what you all thought of that. But kind of wrapping up this really powerful moment, I mentioned again, Brother Day, Lee Pace was fantastic, but Demerzel, as she just killed, this essentially kind of her child, right? It was almost a child to her, and these are all like her children, because she's been able to live through all the Cleons. She had to kill one with her own hands, and she's just ripping off her face, screaming in rage. I love that moment. I love that character. I can't wait to explore more of Demerzel, and just the visual design of her ripping off her face, screaming in rage was Really great moment for me. Let me know what you all thought about that moment. But wrapping up the episode, we see that we're in the Blue Drift. It's 138 years later. We see that Gale has returned back to her home, and as has been predicted, none of her people are still there. But she sees that in her, her homeland has been destroyed. But she sees this beacon under the water. She goes down. She pulls up the person. She covers her up. They wake up, and it's revealed. Obviously, I knew it was going to be Salvor. They even showed us when you could see in her little ship there. But she says, "I'm looking for you, my mom," and she has obviously the cube. And we end the episode with mother and daughter being together, and we just saw it. And I think that's so great because we just got a scene where the mother had to kill her son and brother Don. So I love that kind of parallel. But again, just overall thoughts of this season finale. I thought that the Brother Day stuff, the Demerzel stuff, which only speaks to my season thoughts, but this stuff in the episode was my favorite stuff in the episode. Again, I thought the dramatics were there. Brother Don actually brought it for me. Obviously, the beef between the brothers and Brother Dust now. And Demerzel having to take that moment to kill a son of hers was some really great dramatic stuff. And I felt that tension. Going back to the Salvor Gale stuff, which kind of brings me into my overall thoughts of the season. Again, anything involving Brother Day, him going on his walk, the Spyro, Halima, all that at Demerzel, all of that richness was just so fantastic. That was the best stuff in the show to me. That was the most compelling, most engaging. The best acting in the show came from that storyline. As far as Salvor and Gale and Harry and Reach and the Terminus and the Vault and the our Anacreons and the all that stuff, it was interesting, but I think for me, it just kind of lost a lot of its interest. I felt like we kept doing the same thing. We kept hearing the same narratives. We kept kind of going to the same destinations. I just wish that those stories were more. I think the emotional beats were really what's missing for me, whether it was the relationship with Salvor and Hugo, the relationship with Salvor and her dad when he died. I just felt like the emotional development and the emotional resonance didn't sit with me personally, and I think that kind of was the biggest detriment to the show was I didn't feel the emotional range from that particular storyline. If it wasn't for Brother Day, Demerzel, all the Cleon Emperor stuff, that stuff really saved the show for me. But the thing that I can go without a shadow of a doubt saying was the best element as far as the production, the visual effects of the show this is the best looking show on Apple TV Plus, which speaks highly because, if you've seen C and seen a couple of their other kind of sci-fi shows, they do not go short on the budget. So I love the production of the show. The cinematography was beautiful. The different worlds we went to, the different planets. The score was very intriguing, very Star Trek-y type of themes and soundtrack that we got here. So I love the production, but it was just the emotional resonance didn't stick with me entirely for some, for all that stuff on Salvor and Terminus and stuff like that. And even Harry, that actor, I love that actor so much. I just wish that he was maybe more involved and not just like the ghost version of Harry and Reach and all that stuff. But overall, though, this was a really good show. It's not a fantastic show. It's not a terrible show. It's a really good show, and I can see the beginnings of what they can do with the season 2 and further on. I believe they announced they're going to maybe do 5 seasons of this, but I'm invested in the show. I will be back to watch season 2, but more importantly, I want to know from you all, what did you think about not only the finale, but the season as a whole? I know a lot of you all that were book readers were not a fan of the show. You felt like it was not doing the book justice, which, that's a conversation that we all can maybe relate to when it comes to, I'm a comic book reader, so I've seen a lot of my favorite comics be adapted to movies and shows, and it didn't always, stick the landing, but I'm always a person that can say, okay, putting my prior knowledge aside, what's the story they're trying to tell? And not being a book reader, I enjoyed the narrative, but I know a lot of you all weren't the biggest fan. So let me know, overall speaking, once you've seen all 10 episodes, again, even taking away your knowledge from the book, what do you think about the story that we got at hand? And if you were someone like me that didn't read the book, what did you think about it as a whole as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Before we leave, I want to thank every single one of you all that watched all 10 of my reviews every single week. Whether you agree with me, disagree with me, I appreciate all the likes, the shares, the comments, the support in the channel. I will be back reviewing more Apple TV Plus content. I review a lot of other TV shows and movies, so I hope you all have subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell. But again, thank you for supporting these reviews. Thank you for watching this review. Before you leave, make sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss any of my future reviews. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, subscribe to my channel. Check out my other content. We'll catch you in the next video.